I should have known something was wrong when I saw her car parked across two spaces in the empty parking lot. It was 11 p.m., and I was closing up the small grocery store where I worked. I was the only employee left, and my manager had already gone home. That's when she walked in. The automatic doors slid open, and she stood there in the doorway. She wore a white business suit that looked too clean, too perfect. Her blonde hair was pulled back so tight it made her face look stretched. But it was her smile that made my stomach drop. It was too wide, showing too many teeth. "We're actually closed," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I was just about to lock up." She didn't move. She just kept smiling and staring at me with eyes that didn't blink enough. "The sign says you close at 11, she said slowly. "It's 10:58. I looked at the clock. She was right. 2 minutes. I felt a cold sweat on my neck. "Okay," I said, "but please be quick." She walked in and her heels clicked on the floor like a countdown. Click, 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 click. She didn't grab a basket. She didn't look at any products. She just walked straight toward me at the checkout counter. "I need to speak to your manager," she said. Her voice was calm, but something about it made my hands shake. "He's not here," I replied. "I can help you with whatever you need." Her smile got bigger. "I'll wait." "Ma'am, he won't be back until tomorrow morning. If you tell me what's wrong, maybe I can—" I said I'll wait. I felt trapped. The store suddenly felt too big and too small at the same time. The bright lights hummed above us, making everything feel like a bad dream. "I really can't let you stay here," I said, my voice cracking. "We're closed now." That's when her face changed. The smile dropped, and her eyes went cold and dead. She reached into her purse, and my whole body went stiff with fear. I thought about the panic button under the counter. I thought about running, but I couldn't move. She pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the police," she said. "You're discriminating against me. You're refusing me service. You're threatening me." "What?" "No, I'm not. I said you're threatening me." She screamed so loud I jumped back. "You called me a bad word. You told me to get out. I have rights." None of that was true. None of it. But she was already dialing, already talking into the phone, making up a completely different story. She said I'd cursed at her, pushed her, and refused to help her because of how she looked. Every word was a lie. I tried to explain to the 911 operator when she put me on speaker, but she kept talking over me, crying fake tears, her voice shaking with fake fear. She was good at this. Too good. Like she'd done it before. My phone was in the back room. The panic button seemed too far away. The doors locked from the inside with a key I didn't have. She stood between me and the exit. "They're sending officers," she said, hanging up. The fake tears were gone. The smile was back. Now we wait. 15 minutes felt like hours. She didn't move. She just stood there, watching me, blocking my way out. Sometimes she'd tilt her head like a bird looking at a bug. Sometimes she'd hum. The fluorescent lights buzzed above us, and I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. "Why are you doing this?" I finally whispered. She laughed. It was a terrible sound, like breaking glass. "Because I can," she said. "Because people like you need to learn respect. I'm going to stand here until those police come, and I'm going to watch them arrest you. Then I'm going to sue you and this store, and I'm going to take everything. Your job, your money, your future, all of it." I felt sick. My legs were shaking. She was going to destroy my life over nothing, over 2 minutes past closing time, and she was enjoying it. That's when I heard something that saved me. A car door slammed outside. But it wasn't a police car. It was my manager's truck. He'd forgotten his wallet and come back. He walked in confused and immediately saw something was wrong. "What's going on?" he asked. The woman spun around and her face changed again. Sweet smile. Soft voice. "Thank goodness you're here. Your employee has been so rude to me. I have cameras," my manager interrupted, pointing up at the ceiling. "With audio. I can see and hear everything that happens in this store. Would you like me to show the police when they get here?" Her face went white. Then red. Then something else. Something scary. For a second, I thought she might attack us. Her hands curled into claws and her breathing got fast and loud, but then she just walked out. No words, no goodbye, just clicked her heels to the door and left. The police came 5 minutes later. My manager showed them the footage. They apologized to me and said they'd add her to a list of people who'd made false reports before. This wasn't her first time. She'd done this to 17 other people. 17 lives she'd tried to ruin. The phone rang at 5:47 a.m. I know because I stared at the clock, hoping it was the wrong number. It was Sunday, my only day off before the chaos of Monday started again. Mr. Patterson, this is Detective Lewis from the county police. We need you to come to your farmhouse in Stanbrook immediately. My stomach dropped. The farmhouse. Laura and I had bought it 2 years ago as a weekend escape from the city. 3 hours of highway between our apartment and that quiet place in the woods. What's wrong? I asked, sitting up. Laura stirred beside me. Sir, we found a body in your basement, a female victim. We need you here now. The words didn't make sense. They bounced around my skull like marbles in a jar. A body. Our basement. Female. That's impossible, I whispered. Sir, I need you to drive here. Don't talk to anyone about this. The line went dead. Laura was awake now, her hand on my shoulder. What happened? They found a body. At the farmhouse. In our basement. Her face went white. That can't be right. We were just there 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. We had spent a quiet weekend cleaning the place, drinking wine on the porch, walking through the autumn leaves. The basement was empty except for some old boxes and garden tools. The drive took forever and no time at all. Laura sat silent in the passenger seat, her fingers twisting together. My mind raced through possibilities, each one worse than the last. Someone broke in. Someone used our property. Someone knew we weren't there. But the basement. Our basement. With the heavy door we always kept locked. Police cars filled our gravel driveway. Yellow tape crossed the front porch. Detective Lewis was a tall woman with tired eyes and a grim mouth. Mr. Patterson, Mrs. Patterson. She nodded to us. I need to ask you some questions. Who is she? Laura asked. The woman you found? We're working on identification. When was the last time either of you were here? 2 weeks ago, I said. October 14th through 16th. We left Sunday evening. Did you notice anything unusual? Anyone around? Strange cars? I shook my head. Nothing. It was quiet. It's always quiet out here. Did you go into the basement? Yes, Laura said. I grabbed some mason jars on Saturday for the tomatoes from the garden. Detective Lewis wrote something down. This says, I need you both to come with me. I need you to look at something. The basement stairs creaked under our feet. The smell hit me halfway down, sweet and rotten and wrong, chemical. My throat closed up. The basement looked different. The concrete floor had dark stains spreading out from the center. Plastic sheets hung from the exposed beams. Industrial lights blazed in the corners, cold and white. And there, against the far wall, was a metal shelving unit I had never seen before. Do you recognize that shelving? Detective Lewis asked. No, I said. That wasn't here 2 weeks ago. Are you certain? Absolutely certain, Laura said, her voice shaking. We don't own anything like that. The shelving held clear plastic containers. Inside the containers were knives, rope, duct tape, plastic bags, everything organized, everything clean. My legs went weak. What is this? Mr. Patterson, where were you on Thursday night? Thursday? My mind blanked. I worked late until maybe 8. Then I went home. Laura can confirm that. I can, Laura said quickly. He was home by 8:30. We ate dinner, we watched TV, he was with me all night. Detective Lewis studied us both. The victim was killed approximately Thursday evening, based on body temperature and lividity. We weren't here, I said. We haven't been here since October 16th. I have receipts, credit card statements, work logs. Someone has a key to this property? Just us, and the realtor who sold it to us, but that was 2 years ago. A young officer appeared at the top of the stairs. Detective, We found something. We followed her upstairs, out to the detached garage. Inside, parked next to my old lawn tractor, was a white van. The back doors stood open. Inside the van were more plastic sheets, more containers, and photographs taped to the walls. Dozens of photographs. Women, young women, walking to their cars, sitting in cafes, shopping in stores, candid shots taken from a distance. And in the middle of them all was a photograph of Laura. She made a sound like a wounded animal. I grabbed her, pulled her close. "That's from the grocery store," she whispered. "Last month, the Safeway near our apartment." Detective Lewis was already on her radio calling for more units. "Someone has been watching you. Someone has been using your property." "The locks," I said suddenly. "When we arrived 2 weeks ago, I thought the back door looked scratched, like someone tried to pick it, but nothing was missing inside. I thought I was being paranoid." "Show me." The back door's lock was definitely damaged, fresh scratches in the brass. A professional would have been neater, but someone determined could have done it. "We need to check your home in the city," Detective Lewis said. "Right now." The drive back was a blur of police escorts and racing thoughts. Our apartment building looked the same as always, safe, normal, but when the locksmith examined our door, he found the same scratches. "Someone's been in here," he said. "Multiple times, probably." Inside, everything looked normal, until Laura opened her dresser drawer. "My underwear," she said, her voice breaking. "It's arranged differently. I'm very particular about how I fold things." In my office, my laptop had been moved half an inch. I noticed because it always sat perfectly aligned with the desk edge. Always. "He's been studying you," Detective Lewis said, "learning your patterns, your schedules. He knew when you'd be at the farmhouse and when you wouldn't." "But why?" Laura asked. "Why use our place?" "Control," Detective Lewis said. "If we found the body, you'd be suspects. He could watch the investigation, watch you panic. Some killers get off on that." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You should have stayed in the city today," I showed Detective Lewis. She grabbed the phone, her face hard. "He's watching right now," she said. "Everyone, weapons out. He's close." The next 30 minutes were organized chaos. Police flooded the building. They evacuated neighbors. They checked every apartment, every stairwell, every parking space. They found him in the building across the street. Unit 407, with a perfect view of our living room window. He had cameras, monitors, schedules written on the walls, maps of our routines, keys to our doors hanging on a pegboard like trophies. His name was Derek Webb. He had lived there for 11 months. He worked as a building maintenance supervisor, which gave him access to lock-making equipment. He had no prior arrests, no red flags. He had been planning this for almost a year. The woman in our basement was named Jennifer Craig. She was 28. She worked at a bookstore downtown. She looked nothing like Laura except for her dark hair and green eyes. She was practice. Detective Lewis told us everything later in a quiet room at the police station. Derek had confessed immediately once caught, proud of his planning. He had been building up to taking Laura. The farmhouse was supposed to be his permanent workspace. We were supposed to be his cover story. I installed the cameras 3 weeks ago. Just basic security stuff for our farmhouse. Nothing fancy. My wife Annie thought I was being paranoid, but after someone stole our generator last month, I wasn't taking chances. The cameras recorded everything to a hard drive in our bedroom closet. I wish I'd never checked them. It was Tuesday morning when I noticed the kitchen looked different. Nothing major, just things slightly out of place. A chair pulled out, cabinet doors not quite closed. The kind of thing you notice but can't quite explain. "Did you come downstairs last night?" I asked Annie over breakfast. She shook her head, feeding our daughter Lauren. "I slept like a rock. Why?" No reason. But there was a reason. My skin prickled with unease. That evening, after Annie put Lauren to bed, I went to check the footage. I sat on our bedroom floor with my laptop, scrolling through the hours of nighttime recording. Fast forwarding through empty rooms, dark hallways, nothing unusual. Then I saw it. 2:47 a.m. Kitchen camera. A man walked into frame. My blood turned to ice. He moved slowly, deliberately, like he had all the time in the world. He was thin, wearing dark clothes, a baseball cap, pulled low. He opened our refrigerator. The light spilled across his face for just a second. He was young, maybe 30, with a patchy beard and hollow eyes. He took out the milk, drank straight from the container, put it back. Then he opened our cabinets, one by one, looking through our plates, our glasses, our food, like he was shopping, like this was his house. My hands shook so hard I could barely hold the laptop. He sat down at our kitchen table, right where Lauren eats her breakfast. He sat there for 11 minutes, just staring at nothing, his hands flat on the table. Then he stood up and walked out of frame. I jumped to the hallway camera. There he was again, moving toward the stairs, toward our bedrooms. "Oh, God!" I whispered. The staircase camera showed him climbing slowly, step by step. He stopped at the landing, turned his head, looking straight at the camera. For a moment, I thought he could see me watching him. His mouth moved slightly, like he was talking to himself. He continued up. The upstairs hallway camera caught him stopping outside Lauren's room. My heart hammered against my ribs. He stood there, hand on her doorknob, for what felt like forever. But he didn't go in. Instead, he moved to the next door, the guest bedroom. He went inside. I switched to the guest room camera, but we hadn't installed one there yet. I sat in the darkness of my own bedroom, staring at the screen, trying to breathe. 23 minutes later, he emerged. He walked back downstairs and out of frame. The timestamp showed 3:31 a.m. I checked every camera. He'd left through the back door, the one with the broken lock I kept meaning to fix. Annie found me still sitting there an hour later. "What's wrong?" She saw my face. "What happened?" I showed her. She watched in silence, her hand covering her mouth, her eyes growing wider and wider. "We're calling the police," she said. "Right now." We did. 2 officers came that afternoon. They watched the footage, took notes, asked questions. They searched the house, dusted for fingerprints, checked all the entry points. "Change all your locks," the older officer said. "Get that back door fixed today. We'll increase patrols in this area, but honestly," he paused. "People like this, they're unpredictable. Sometimes they're homeless, looking for shelter. Sometimes it's more complicated." "More complicated how?" Annie asked. He didn't answer. That night, Annie wanted to stay at her mother's place in town. But Lauren had school the next day, and I'd already called a locksmith who'd changed every lock in the house. We'd be safe now. The doors were secure, the windows latched. We'd be safe. I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed listening to every sound, the house settling, the wind outside, the creaking of old wood. Every noise made my muscles tense, my breath catch. At 2 a.m., I got up to check the live camera feeds on my phone. Kitchen, empty. Hallway, empty. Living room, empty. I was about to put the phone down when I saw movement. Guest bedroom camera, the one I'd installed that afternoon after the police left. Someone was lying in the bed. The covers were pulled up, the shape of a body clearly visible underneath. A person-sized lump in the darkness. I stopped breathing. Annie was asleep beside me. Lauren was in her room. We were the only ones who should be here. I grabbed the baseball bat from under the bed, my hands slick with sweat. My phone showed the shape hadn't moved. Still just lying there. Under our guest room covers. In our house. I crept down the hallway, bat raised, my heart slamming against my ribs so hard I thought it would break through. The guest room door was closed. I put my hand on the knob. The brand new lock, the one nobody else had keys for. I threw the door open, flicking on the lights. Bat held high. The bed was perfectly made, empty. I stood there, shaking, staring at the smooth covers, the undisturbed pillows. Nothing. Nobody. My phone buzzed. I looked down at the live feed. The shape was back, in the bed, on my screen. But the bed in front of me was empty. I looked up, looked at the camera in the corner. Its little red light blinked steadily. Then I understood. The footage wasn't live. It was recorded. Someone had looped old footage, made it look like live feed, which meant someone had accessed my camera system, had been watching us, watching me, watching them. I ran back to our bedroom, locked the door, grabbed Annie. We're leaving. Right now. Get Lauren. What? Now. We threw clothes into bags, grabbed Lauren from her bed, still half asleep and confused, and ran for the car. As we pulled out of the driveway, I looked back at the house. Every light was turning on, one by one. Kitchen, living room, hallway, upstairs, Lauren's room, our bedroom. Someone was inside, flipping switches. Walking through our home, the police found him 3 hours later, hiding in the crawlspace under the house. He'd been living there for 6 weeks, they said, coming out at night when we slept, using our bathroom when we were gone, eating our food, watching us. They found a notebook in his sleeping bag, pages and pages about our family, our schedules, what time Lauren left for school, what Annie looked like sleeping. What I talked about on phone calls, he'd been planning something. The police never told us exactly what, they just said we were lucky.